No. It's supposed to be outtakes. Like, what are you talking about?
Okay. Well, I didn't sure if you wanted me to save it for the actual show.
Why don't we just go ahead and start the show since this is going so smoothly? Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, please sit well down in your seat and keep your hands inside the ride at all times. I am Kevin McLaughlin, and this is the Riffs and
Rhythms podcast. It'll be 4 tickets for the Ferris wheel.
That's right. This is an e-ticket ride, baby. And who are you?
I'm Paul Robertson.
Right
so,
on.
Yeah. I was continuing with, we have a returning guest from last week, keeping in theme of the fair, Martin County Fair. Last episode we took a little long getting to our guest, but we got back on the podcast.
Yeah, we brought him back. Thanks for coming back, Mike.
Yeah.
I'm having too much fun. I feel like being the Ed McMahon of this thing.
That'd be perfect.
I'm on the side couch. This is great.
And you said you live in Hope Sound, right?
Live in Hope Sound.
Yeah, so you come down and hang out anytime you want to come and hang out, right?
I like it.
We have an extra seat there for the peanut gallery. Is that what you're at?
Security.
Security.
That's right. Yeah.
Mother.
That's right.
We got the ghost on the other side. This was the best.
The Marge.
The Marge, yes. She's marged us.
So, yeah, welcome back. So we were just talking here again before we started the episode taping, and you can see some of the outtakes on our Patreon, all the fun, crazy stuff. But we were just talking about Zakk Wylde.
Yeah.
Right.
The great Zakk Wylde.
And you saw him in some little warehouse dealio.
Bangor, Maine put on a clinic for for guitars, of course. For Gibson guitars, of course, he used to play that famous the Circle Les Paul. And he had that great stance, right between the legs, the whole 9 yards. Nicest guy. I mean, most of these guys you meet are just really good guys. And to see him that close and everything else, my God, just so good. But this is, I was watching some Zakk Wylde stuff recently. I'm like, wow, when did Zakk Wylde get old? I'm like, doofus, you saw him 30 some odd years ago,
So is this before facial hair you saw him?
Yeah, he was a young guy, just big, before he did the big beard and all that stuff. And he was a young guy, and he was fresh off Ozzy. I mean, he's still playing with Ozzy. And just the night, and had a great time. And like everybody got stuff. A buddy of mine got a big satin Gibson jacket. He was like one ticket away from winning the Les Paul. Some other kid won a Les Paul. It's like, it was just so much fun. But that was, talking about music stores. That was our local, Northern Kingdom Music, and Mitch and the guys down there. It was just so much fun to be a part of all that. It's where you got. I mean, I still have gear that I bought there.
Wow.
And it's still up, still going.
Right.
And all these years, they've been around for like 50 some odd years, and. Just those great music stores, where you go, literally, it's where you learn, it's where you try new stuff. You buy your first crappy guitar, then you make payments on it and get another one and this and that and everything else. It's like, I got the Hondo, and then we move up to a Squire, and then I got a real Fender, and it's just great. And that's, trying to find those these days. All love the Guitar Center. They're doing their best, but... again, that local feel, the family-owned thing is really cool.
So when you saw Zakk, so I saw him probably, I don't know if I've ever told you this story, I saw Zakk Wylde play, I guess it was Black Label Society, was it the Bruce Russmeyer up in Daytona, US 1 and 95 and all that whole, the whole Disney for bikers, right? That's
right
up there.
Saints and Sinners Pub.
It was in the venue right there.
The big pole barn they got.
Yeah, right. And to me, Zakk is a big guy.
Yeah.
But then seeing him in person on the stage, I'm like, that guitar looks so tiny with him holding it, right? And like you said, the way his stance is in.
It's like this little toy right there.
I think he's like 6'12", I think,
He's one of those guys, too. He just looks big. I'm almost 6'3", and so I don't know how tall he is, but he's definitely over 6 feet tall. And but he's just one of those lanky. And plus, at that time he had the big bell bottoms on, the big boots, and everything else. Just stretched him out, and he was just a guitar god. It was so cool to see guitar god from 8 feet away. Yeah. So never again. He was just couldn't have been nicer and friendly. And,
he seems very
and what a great player. What a great player. Yeah. And that's the guys. I mean, you think about this. These are he's a Southern rock. I mean, he plays anything. He's so talented. But, he really is that second coming of the great Southern rock guitar players. And to see him now as he gets older, still and just to see, I love to see that. That's the beautiful thing about guitar players if they stay with it and that maturity and how they progress and life and everything that comes out in their music and everything. And just
Right.
it sometimes even slows it down and makes it more powerful. He's just such a great talent.
It's amazing to see, right? His career, obviously, Ozzy finds him.
Yeah.
He's the second coming of Randy, right?
Absolutely,
It's okay.
yeah.
And
nobody, aside from Randy Rhoads, nobody is Ozzy's guitar player more
Than Zakk Wylde.
Zakk Wylde.
Yeah.
No one even close.
I
as
can't,
far
I
as
can't
I'm
even say. I
concerned.
mean,
Yeah.
if you think about it, even through Sabbath and all that stuff, he's had Zakk Wylde the longest. And
Yeah.
look at the span of time.
Yeah, no
You
question.
forget about that. Like Randy Rhoads, God bless him, was only there for like a week and a half.
right.
In the grand scheme of things.
Yeah.
Changed the whole world. in
Changed
that
the whole
week.
world.
Yeah.
It is amazing, and what a great loss. But
No, I'm not the guitar player here, but I want to give some love to Jakey Lee. Right, he's
Great guitar player.
Unbelievable.
a different style in
Didn't
those
make-
those albums. Yeah, but
Didn't
yeah,
stay in the band.
Yeah.
And Zakk, when you look at him, you're like, that man is truly an animal.
yeah. That's it. That's a
And his
great way to
guitar
describe
sound
it.
is just freaking giant.
Monstrous. Yeah. It's just fantastic.
but now to go on to and fill some big shoes
Yeah.
playing in Pantera, right, or
Right.
filling in that.
That's right.
Right,
That's
know.
right.
And he caught a lot of flack from that. But most people don't know is that he and Dimebag Darrell were tight.
Tight. They were like brothers.
Yeah, that didn't come
they
out
were
until
tight.
after all that.
Yeah.
And people forget how good. I mean, Dimebag was just. I mean, we're talking about just giants of talent, guitar gods.
Yeah.
Dimebag Darrell died the same death as Robert Johnson.
Oh yeah.
Different
yeah.
methods,
Different
same
methods,
reason.
thing. Yeah.
And that reason is some dude thought the guitar player was doing his woman,
Yep.
and so he took him out.
Except the guy that took out Dimebag was, I think, paranoid schizophrenic. And
Yeah, and I don't think it was even real.
nothing real for
Yeah.
him. Yeah, it was that was such a tragedy. And then when he was buried with Eddie Van Halen's guitar, that was what a tribute that they had together.
Yeah.
Yeah, the connection. Yeah, the influences along the way.
And they're like, oh, was that like no, that was the real one.
Yeah, and if you're unfamiliar with Dimebag Darrell, shame on you.
Yeah.
But he owns a certain place in guitar history for his heavy rhythms
Yeah.
and first one to use a noise gate to get the staccato chunk 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 in the studio.
The same thing that gave Phil Collins a in the air tonight. Put it on a guitar and it just went bonkers. Yeah. Go back, all you kids. Go do some research. A little Dimebag Darrell,
I will have
make it happen for you.
I'll be glad to say that I got the opportunity to see the original band
Oh, really?
in '92.
Oh
Nice.
wow. No, I did
I never
not.
saw Pantera live.
Pantera
me neither.
in Orlando. It was '92. Pantera had opened up for Skid Row,
Oh jeez.
Well, there's a backwards thing.
right? Well, at the time, I mean, you think about
Right,
the
Skid
time,
Row
it
was
was
huge,
they were
yeah,
huge.
they
They
were
were just
huge.
coming off all this and they were on their second album.
Sebastian Bach. Right?
Sebastian
Yeah,
Bach, yeah. And again, I grew up in New Jersey, and the Dave Sabo, one of the guitar players, lived in the street behind me, and and I remember them setting up the tour bus to go down to Florida to record the second album after the huge success
Sure.
of the original, the very first album. But yeah, that was an odd one, is to say everyone's reaction is exactly what you guys had. It was like, wait a minute. You see which band progressed and had a bigger impact.
Right,
Right.
right.
Yeah,
Now.
that's like when I went to see Leonard Skinner and what's his name, the guy from Michigan.
Oh, it's Nugent.
Ted Nugent.
Nope.
Bob Seger.
No, younger. He did the
Kid Rock.
Kid Rock.
Okay,
It was
oh.
Kid Rock and Leonard Skinner, except Leonard Skinner was opening up for Kid Rock. I was like, this deserves a riot. Like, we should burn this place down.
Well, I think that was Kid Rock saying, I love these guys. Let's make sure they're still right in the limelight. You know what I mean? That's one thing Kid Rock, I'm a Kid Rock fan. Because, first of all, people forget that he's actually a multi-instrumentalist, plays all this stuff.
He's local.
He's a local.
We gotta get him on the show.
Yeah, check him out. See if
He lives here now?
he lives in
I
Jupiter.
thought he was from Michigan.
He's on the island.
he's
He
got
has a house. He's got a place
He's got a
over on
house.
the
You know
island.
his
Yeah.
house. You drive by. He's painted. They made him take down his giant American flag, so he painted the giant American flag on his garage.
Oh, Gina, hear the story?
Oh, no, I'm not.
So
Yeah, Kid
so
Rock.
he moves in, puts that flag on his garage door, and the town says, we're going to fine you because that doesn't, meet the city whatever.
HOA standards.
And he's like, "Go ahead."
And they're like, well, what's the fine? They're like, yeah, it's like $10.
This is America.
Yeah. This is before he shot up all those Bud Light cans.
Yeah.
So it was like $10 a day or whatever it was.
I'll write a check.
Exactly. He went down there and said, I'm leaving up for the rest of the year. And I guess they never bothered, So if you go to Google Street View, it's blurred out.
You're
Silly.
kidding.
Nope.
I take people
All
by all
right,
the time.
all right, Mr. Trump, you need to unblur Kid Rock's
Oh,
house.
they're buddies. They're best friends.
So, let's make America great again and allow people to actually display the American flag.
Yeah, he calls
How
him
about
Bob.
Bob. Yeah, Bob.
But that island's got some cool because that's where Jason Newsted has his place.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
he's a super nice guy, and his wife and what they do over at the Tequesta Arts Center. All
Yeah,
that stuff.
the Chop House
My,
band and
my
all
kid did art lessons there, and super nice people. I've never seen. I know Lars Ulrich has the house like 2 houses down from him.
Oh, okay.
I'm not sure of what Lars's usual hangings around town are, but they both have houses.
But
right
he's
there.
a drummer, so
He's a drummer.
Here we go.
doesn't count.
By the way,
You know-
Newstead, phenomenal bass player.
There you go. Newstead.
Phenomenal bass
even
player.
bass players
Yeah.
better than drummers.
There was a similar funny story with Trump where I don't remember which property this was at, but it was something to do with the height of a flagpole that he had.
It was in Mar-a-Lago.
Was it Mar-a-Lago?
Yep.
The city was going to fine him or whatever for the height of the flagpole. It couldn't be over a certain height, and he had a really large one. And so what he did was he just hired landscapers to literally build a hill so that he could put the same flag or a smaller flagpole
Higher.
on raised ground. So
Yeah.
it was at the original height, but the pole was technically shorter, which I think is so baller. It's so funny.
That is awesome.
Here's my thing. Really, you're going to put a limit on the American flag? Sorry. That's silliness.
Here's my take on it. Code, whether it's from a municipality or a homeowners association, the spirit behind it is good. We don't want this place to look like crap.
I get that.
Let's work it together. But in practice, those exact practices are the reason why our ancestors left whatever country they left
That's right.
to come here, so we wouldn't have to put up with that kind of crap.
Right. So,
They stand.
if Bob wants to paint
as
a giant
everything-
American flag on his garage door, dude, let it rip, man. Paint the whole house that way. Put some stars and stripes right across the front door. Make it happen.
I agree.
So Kid Rock, come on when you're in town. Come on, stop by the show.
Yeah, we're
Let's
only a
have
few
you.
minutes
Man.
away from the house.
And
You're the man.
we don't serve Bud Light here.
No.
I don't.
Yeah, no. So. Isn't it odd that everyone was so bent out of Bud Light we won't go into the reasons. I think we all know why. But then now everyone is so moved to drinking Ultra. That became now the new
Bud Light?
and everyone. That's how you see everybody drinking.
I was kind of hoping we stopped drinking because it was awful. There's that. I like the ads. Bud Light ads were fantastic.
Yeah.
I mean, great. They're genius in marketing, but it's like, don't you ever just move away from Bud Light?
Yeah, we're just drinking water here.
It's but there you go. It's like you have these fine crafted spirits you're enjoying right here. We have great fine crafted beers right here.
Yeah,
I think their new slogan is going to be all of the cost and none of the flavor.
All the cost, all the price.
There you go.
Nothing. What is that thing now? They have vapes, which are vapes and vape anything. Rock and roll. Yeah, good. But now they have these air vapes, like it's just air. I'm like, no, that's just pure profiteering. It's like just go
you can buy compressed air. Yeah.
just go buy a straw. Suck that.
There's two different things. There's the vapes that you're talking about are these flavored air things that are
Aerosol cans.
marketed to be supposed to help you get off of nicotine vaping at all.
Which means a vape was supposed to get you off cigarettes.
Right, exactly.
So we're running out of things to just get you off
it's
of.
still profiteering in a different way. And then what you're thinking of, Kevin, I think, is the Galaxy gas this
It's like an
nitrous
aerosol.
gas.
It's like a spray can full of oxygen
It's-
in a mask.
well, there's
like you're
oxygen.
playing football or something.
Yeah.
but they also have
Oxygen bar.
There's oxygen ones, but there's nitrous gas ones.
Oh, well, that's a whole. We could
What?
tell some funny stories about that stuff.
Oh, okay.
Nitrous
You can-
oxide whippets.
Yes,
Whippets.
people.
They're
The
selling
company.
whippets over the counter now.
Yes.
What
you
the-
can buy? It's called the brand, the big trendy brand. There's a bunch of them, but the one everybody knows is called Galaxy Gas. I don't know if it's just Galaxy, but it's Galaxy Gas, and you can buy
Man.
them at smoke shops and stuff.
I'm
yeah.
gonna sound old, but back in my day, we had to steal them from the dentist.
Well, we used to go to the. No, you should buy them by the
I like
case.
how you got him all excited about speaking. He was all
He's
jumped
like,
on the
"Oh,
mic.
this is good." But whippets back in the day were they had to stop selling them at the kitchen stores and the kitchen supply stores because you could buy them by the case for the industrial whipped cream and dispensary.
Yeah.
Kids just buy them by the case and just whip it. That's why they're called whippets. And then people said, this is great in a small tank, little thing. What if we got a whole tank of this stuff? And there's your nitrous balloons.
The
and
Galaxy Gas
Grateful
ones
Dead shows.
are like this big.
Ooh, that's a lot.
They're like a foot tall can, just full of it.
That's
Oh, my.
that's an embolism waiting to happen.
So that was actually
It's no fun. We can just pick it up at the convenience store. You have to go to the dentist
Earn
and
it.
steal it
Gotta
from
figure-
It's just like what I said about just like what I said about porn. Like you got to work for it. You got to work.
Exactly.
You got to go through some struggle to get your high.
Yeah, I believe you should, because otherwise, what are we coming to here?
So that actually is part of one of the episodes in the Tulsa King season 1 was those kinds of things. Though, but
I
you gotta check that.
heard
out.
that was a great show. I heard
It's-
Stallone's fantastic.
Excellent. It's it's like almost like a Sopranos meets a a kind of style, but in a different kind of in Oklahoma.
Yeah.
And not to give away too much, but it's
Okie mob,
like
the Sooners versus
the premise is he's gone away to jail for many years, for let's say 25 years. He gets out, and it's like Rip Van Winkle.
Sure.
He has no idea about technology and this and this and this. And one of the scenes that he ends up getting banished to Oklahoma is how he ended up there was they said, wait a minute, there's weed shops, legal weed, because it blew his mind that there's like legal weed selling. But yeah, it's a good episode. Season 2 is out actually too.
I knew a guy a number of years ago who that was the exact situation. He had been in prison for like a decade or something and came out, and it was sometimes difficult to conversate with him because anytime you're like trying to reference something else, he's like, I missed that. I don't know what that is. Like you're trying to like explain one thing and you're comparing it to another thing. You're like, I don't know what either of those are.
Yeah.
He had no reference point.
Remember MySpace? What is that?
Well, so,
Yeah.
but think about that. I mean, it's one of those things is you kind of go through life and you take a look when you talk about like the 90s. I graduated high school in 92. And so, that's 30 some odd years ago. So look at 1992, go 30 some odd years ago before that. Oh, that's like the Beatles' first albums.
Yeah.
That's like, I mean, it's like, and when you were a kid, you're like, oh, that's like so long ago. They say, and now you're like, oh, wow, that's like a long time
Yeah,
ago.
and
But
30
that's even
years
thing.
before that, the combustion engine was just coming into vogue.
Well, I look at it this way. I was born in 1974. So go ahead 50 years to now, where I'm now. But go back 50 years from 1974. That's 1924.
Yeah.
And look at how much, 74 to now, a lot of changes. I was an analog kid, and I was one of that, remember Gen X?
Yeah, Gen X.
Gen X. So, we were analog, but we lived through the 70s and 80s and all that stuff and went to the digital age where you think of 24, that's Marconi style. That's like, you hadn't had, the Second World War. You hadn't had really, in 1924, things were just warming up.
yeah, indoor plumbing was for the wealthy.
And from
Electricity,
1924.
well,
yeah.
in Maine, a lot of houses didn't get electricity till after the war.
Yeah.
And I think of like my
Which is
grandparents.
20 years after your reference.
20 years after the 20 years.
So the
after
40s
that.
now, right?
The 40s,
Yeah.
it's like a long time. There's
Yeah.
a generation between that. So it's like you start just that historical stuff. You're like,
It's mind-boggling. Yeah.
wow. And then I think of my great-grandmother. She was born in 1900 and lived till 1999. She lived the whole century.
Wow.
And lived it well. Like she didn't have one of those like declines for 20 years.
Yeah.
She was just at it, and then God bless her. That was the end of it. 99 years old. But to imagine going from literally seeing the birth of flight, power in houses, radio, TV,
Going to the moon.
and sending emails by the time
Right?
she
Yeah.
was done. It's like, and moon, I mean,
Yeah.
that's going to blow your mind.
When
Yeah.
she was a teenager, it was horse and buggy.
There's two things I remember. There's a great picture I have of her in 1917. She's a kid, 17 years old, sitting side saddle on an Indian motorcycle. When it was still Indian, when Indian and Harley were like, who's going to be bigger, right? And then I have a picture of her in 1980 visiting her daughter, my grandmother, and my grandfather in Australia, where he was staying. This was like his last foreign posting, and she's riding side saddle on a camel at 80 years old. She was cool.
Wow.
Lady. She was a cool lady.
Rock on.
Well, here's to great grandma.
Grandma
right?
Walker.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
She was,
There you go.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, I mean, just the musically, we start thinking music wise, and think about it when. That was like McCartney would come out on tour like, oh, it's like the old Beatle out there. He's like 41,
Oh, well, think about this is the reason why the Beatles stopped touring is because they couldn't hear themselves.
It didn't exist.
When they played Shea Stadium, there was 4 Shure vocal masters on each side.
Yep.
And basically, a JBL pill does 10 times as much as 4 Shure vocal masters did at the time.
And they were playing just their amps, and they had moved up to 25-watt Vox amplifiers.
Yeah, and now we've got line array systems that you can hear one language in this chair and another language in that chair. Yeah. So really, technology has come a long way as well.
And then what did they do? The flip side of that is they went and turned the studio upside down, right? So when they started all those new techniques and things they were creating in the studio. Remember, I think they started out on 4 tracks, their first albums. And then, you can listen to like Sgt. Pepper and all those things. You're like, oh, this is some crazy. It's like, but they had to invent all that
State
stuff.
of the art. They did it on 8 tracks.
Yeah. I had to cut everything and finding all this. So it's just amazing. And then now you got Pro Tools, which is do whatever you want to do.
And
Like
look
I
at
said,
us now recording podcasts when it used to took a whole studio and a bunch of equipment to do. Now everything's accessible.
Yeah.
My favorite example of that is back in the day when I was doing live sound in the 90s. If you wanted to get a multi-track recording of your concert, there was an RV that showed up.
That's right.
And it was $5,500 a day plus catering for 2 to get a 24-track remote truck to show up. Now, I've got a $600 Behringer XR18, and I use a USB cable to go into my $600 iPad, and I can record 16 24-track.
Whatever you want.
It's
amazing.
For nothing, for the gear that I've already got. It's I laugh every time I hook it up.
Well, it's like DJing. I have all this stuff. I have turntables, all that stuff. And now, of course, it's like people that take pictures call themselves photographers, right? So, like, everybody's a DJ now because you have all the stuff on your phone.
Yep.
But it doesn't mean you're a DJ. It's like you can take a lot of pictures, you got a great camera. It doesn't mean you're a photographer, right? And so, sound engineering and all that stuff, there's people
Same
that do
thing.
sound,
Yeah.
and but it is, like you said, I mean, I remember the switch there because, again, like I told, last show, my dad was in advertising and marketing stuff. So we used to work in TV studios. And I remember one of our local stations had just invested in a brand new desk. And I mean, these things were the size of this room and to produce local TV. And they just got, at that time, was a Commodore Amiga. But it was like a genius machine. It had this program called Video Toaster. And it made that $1 million board obsolete overnight. And we were because I went in there to cut a video for one of my classes, and all the swipes, all the fades, all the stuff, and they're like, just that little box does it. And then Steve Jobs left Apple and started Next Computer, and they put on the Next, and that did all that. And it's like it killed it overnight. It's crazy, and but amazing technology.
And now you can do that all from your phone.
Phone,
Yeah, do it on your phone.
phone, supercomputer in your hand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy.
But the whole thing is now the problem is we just do a lot of dumb things with our smartphones.
Dumb phone.
Dumb phone. It's like, no. It's like it can do, but think about it. You can go take any class you ever want, learn about anything you ever want, make your brain as big as you want. And sorry, guys, we spend too much time on TikTok.
This brings me to a platform of mine. This is a platform of mine. It is, as a biker, it is about the journey, not about the destination.
Absolutely.
And
Agreed.
as human beings, It is about the struggle. It is the struggle to achieve that gives us meaning, gives us value, gives us skill. When nothing is a struggle, when I can say, okay, hey, AI, make me a video that with a picture of Kevin McLaughlin that makes me look like a rock star, and make the setting Crossroads Guitar Festival in Brazil, and have everybody in the crowd screaming my name as my song is playing, and then give it 45 seconds to render, and there it is.
Yeah.
Like, there's no struggle in that.
Oh,
So it is, information is more readily available than ever before. People are dumber than ever before. The ability to be great is in our hands right here.
Yes.
But yet we are less great than we ever have been. And it's because there's no struggle involved to achieve it.
So now you got to flip it around, right? It's like, so if the struggle's not there, the struggle is now to find meaning in that and to be able to extrapolate what's meaningful from it, as opposed to just being fed the junk that's just, because you know how these things are made, right? I mean, these are geniuses that create Facebook and all these platforms, and their one sole mission, all they program, is your engagement. The more your eyeballs stay in there, why do you think videos are 30 seconds now? I mean, I think long form TikTok's 5 minutes, right?
Yeah.
YouTube, 10 minute, right? So people like long form podcasts because it's like, oh, there's some meaning to it. But people are attracted to that short information burst because they're programmed.
Right.
They're programmed for it now. And that's by design. And that's not tinfoil hat stuff. It's just really brilliant engineering,
That's why we try to do some shorts from the clips from the
Yeah.
show, just to hopefully translate that into the viewer, into the watch.
Because there's
full
viewers,
thing.
that's all they can handle.
Right, yeah.
And that's how our kids, I mean, that's why they watch everything.
Yeah.
And,
Absolutely.
So
It's like
that-
scroll.
It's like the
Before
old
we
advert.
scroll too deeply into that apocalyptic trend,
void.
let's go ahead and talk about the new Martin County Fairgrounds.
Sure.
Now, I've had people tell me, oh, they've been out west for years now. I've had people say, they're never moving out west. They're going to be into. So, for the record, tell us
Here's
what
the
it's
plan.
all about.
So remember, this is going back about 5-6 years, and they had a big plan. They wanted to do the Martin County Agriplex. Great idea, great everything. These things are big projects. And two things happen. One, sometimes you go out of the gate a little too big in your thinking. You got to be pragmatic and kind of, there's a lot to it, right? So the concept is still there. It's still great. But the first thing they have to do is move the fair. That's the corner of it. They had all this other stuff. And then working with the county, and counties are, you got to work with your partners at the county. They have requirements. They have things they need to do, things they want to see as well. So, they want to see a measured approach. It's like you can come in with a Disneyland project, but how are you going to achieve that, right? These things are tens of millions of dollars. It's not like just magically come together. So our big thing is to move the fair right now. We're going to be moving out to the same spot. That's the plan right now. Again, working with our county and kind of finishing up what those contractual things are going to be. But the goal is now we'll have Fair 25 here, Fair 26 here, and then by 27 having our first fair out there. And our first fair out there will be the basics. We'll have our basic infrastructure, fair offices, bathrooms, that kind of thing, the midway. But most of our vendors will have big tents. We'll do it. It'll be more like a rustic kind of classic county fair as we build up the infrastructure in phases. Livestock barns, all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
So, Mike, so when we say out there, where are we talking about?
So out on Citrus Boulevard, if you head out about 12, 15 minutes maybe, from the corner of, go over the bridge, take a left on Citrus. It's, of course, they've all repaved that. And people used to say, oh, man, that's way out there. It's like, nah, it's not really. And guess what? The rest of, I'll tell you what, by
15
the
minutes
time
west of the turnpike.
we finish probably all the phases of that thing, you'll have houses right up to it. Well, actually, I should say right up to the border of Indiantown High School, which they built on the same property.
So what is that like? Would you say that's like about halfway out to Timer Powers Park?
No, it's just, is it as far? It's just before.
Just before?
So definitely not as far as Timer Powers, but, and originally there was talk of like, well, why don't we just do fair at Timer Powers and use that? But the ground out there is, it's right on the river. So it's, and even all the ride comes like, no, it's just not stable.
So this is off the beeline, right?
No, this is Citrus Avenue. If you get off, if you go west in Martin County, you go over the turnpike. You take your first left. That's Citrus Avenue, and it goes right along.
Straight to Indiantown.
It goes right along the Cross Florida Waterway there.
I frequent this.
AKA the St. Lucie River.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it's the St. Lucie. It's the
Waterway.
cross Florida
Yeah,
waterway.
cross the waterway now.
It's a dug canal.
Yeah,
I frequent this area very often. Actually, it's not far from where I live, so I'm excited for this.
it's great. And the goal, so as we were talking about, it's to build an entire. It's not just the fair, but okay, now we're talking bigger festival. We have more. We have room. I mean, we have all the space we need.
Right.
So, doing bigger shows, bigger things, bigger events, and it's going to be great. So, people are look like anything. There's folks that know stuff, things that people that don't maybe not know. Some a lot of guesswork, this and that. These are processes. We would have liked to have been out there sooner. Remember, you throw 2 years of COVID in the mix, transition. Commissioners doing their work. We have a great set of county commissioners in Martin County. We have great staff. We have a great assistant county administrator, a county administrator that's working on this. It's just nuts and bolts. So people need to relax. It's all going to be good. We're doing the right thing. We go do the right thing for the people of Martin County. The county wants to do the right thing. And so, no, I enjoy working with them, and we'll get there.
Well, to give a little perspective on the difficulty of getting things done, anyone who's ever had to get a permit to get a shed in their backyard. Okay, now take that difficulty
Multiply
and
that.
times it by 10 million.
Yeah. Now you're talking.
And now you know what it's like to deal with what he's talking about.
Yeah. So I'd be kind of quick, but if you start looking at the environmental studies and the engineering drawings, all that, it's enough to spin your head around. But that's what goes into it. So that's what you do. That's what you do. So we're excited about it. And again, it's better. Anything we can do that's going to make Martin County have better opportunities for everybody that lives there, and a draw from everywhere else around. Cool. It's going to be great.
Yeah. Hey, our festival was in Martin County, so
Yeah.
So the fair's going to be near Indiantown. Now I know why you're eliminating the height requirement for all the rides.
That's right. Now we got to be careful of the airport next door. There's a little tiny airport. You're terrible. The airport is
cordial.
right. So there's that little tiny Indiantown airport.
Okay.
It's an airstrip, and so we do have to actually be cognizant of FAA stuff there now.
I'm not familiar with that airport.
Yeah, it's just a little tiny grass strip, little private thing. But that's I think where we are sits up on the canal. So technically, where the new fairgrounds is Palm City. It's heading towards Indiantown, but it's people are like, oh, you're all the way out in Indiantown. It's like, no, you got a good chunk before you get out to Indiantown.
Right.
So
But
you're on
it
the
is.
left side as you're driving towards Indiantown?
Right side,
On the right side. Okay,
dry
yeah, 'cause
side.
There's not the dry side. Okay.
dry side.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's a good
Okay.
good spot. So no, we're looking forward to it, and but that's why it's like
Cool.
with a fair going in, everything else, you got kind of that parallel process going. So as soon as those things are done, we have to get ready for our fair here and start turning dirt out there.
So why move?
Two things. One, as the fair can't grow. I mean, we can't bring in a lot of things. It just for it to expand, and it's the buildings are getting very old, and it's a great piece of county property. It's owned by the county. We're a separate entity. We're not a county entity. The fair is a 501c3. But there's some great opportunities that the county can use that land for. There's been a lot of things discussed, but it's prime for the county. They can do really well with it, and we want to see them succeed as well. So it's kind of a win-win for both of us. So yeah, it's a great.
cool.
I mean, think about it. Where else going to find like 10 acres of flat and on? No offense to our fairgrounds, but about 12 minutes with some machinery, and that thing's flattened and ready to go for someone to build. So
Right.
so it's
Those won't take much to get those buildings
not
down
really,
at this point.
not really. I mean, it is concrete, so that'll be interesting, but really not much of a challenge.
Yeah, because similarly, out in the St. Lucie Fair or Fairgrounds is a bit out west
Yeah.
as well,
Yeah.
and it's all built up.
Yeah, St.
But
Lucie
it's-
County Fair was originally on Airport Road.
That's right.
At
No.
the airport, on the airport grounds, and they went through the exact same thing.
out Midway. Right.
Yeah, now it's at Midway and on Okeechobee Road.
And as you know, that corridor right there, and Okeechobee's growing this way, and it's coming this way, and that is the next big
Boom.
boom corridor right there. So St. Lucie Fair is going to be an in-town fair here pretty soon.
Right?
So no, but they got a great fair up there. The fair director used to be in Martin County, a good friend of mine, Jay, and Jay's good people, and it's a great network. It's it's a world that I didn't I experienced as a kid. I love going to the fair, and always had stuff going on there. My dad always had stuff going on there, so we were always at the fair every summer where I lived, and it was right down down the hill from our neighborhood, and so those experiences kind of drove me into this, and having fun with it and bringing it. Like we used to have really creative things at our fair, and it's like when coming here, it's like let's bring a lot of that cool stuff here. You know, there's a lot of cool things people do in the community. Let's bring them out to the fair.
I definitely, we've all obviously you're sharing stories about when you kid, you talk about, obviously with your, kids, and, I still, even here in Palm Beach County is just the memories I've got of my two boys I've talked about was going there and winning, spending oodles over there, or watching a cow give birth. We're like, okay, now I have to like explain this to my kids, and things like that, going on the rides, etc. But yeah, it's definitely an experience. It's like you said, it's local. Whether it's the 4-H's, all these people coming in to be part of it it's a very community based thing that we talk a lot about is. Community first, right?
That's it.
Everything else is so far removed, but the closest things to you is going to have your biggest impact. So.
And I think we're getting back to a place of that too. I think people are really understanding. That, I can't describe how good it was when I grew up, and it's not just because I have rose-colored glasses. I grew up at a certain time in a certain place with a certain neighborhood and everything else where it couldn't get any better. I mean, I wasn't a rich kid or anything like that, but you knew all your neighbors. There were kids of all ages. You went to school from the time you were kindergarten all the way through. You could walk to school. You could do the whole thing. Everybody in town who knew who you were. It was like a small city. So like you had all the stuff a big city had. And it's weird. Like we had a great guitar shop and a repertory theater and a symphony and public transit and an international airport. All this stuff. It was like a Richard Scarry's book. All these things.
Well, that's because you were in Maine and you can't go very far.
Literally, you go outside this bubble of Bangor and you're in the woods. I mean, literally.
My brother-in-law's from Maine, and his nearest neighbor, you had to take a plane to go visit.
Exactly. So it was just this kind of a weird, we had a big mall and all this stuff, and that's where the big auditorium was. So we had all these bands would come through, and it was just a cool thing to do. So, that's why I kind of like Martin County too. You kind of get that feel, but kind of knocking down some of those HOA walls and things like that. Know your neighbor. That's why
I have to say that one of the reasons why I believe the county fair is important is a lot of people have no experience with agriculture.
No, absolutely.
A lot of kids have no idea that, chicken is an animal.
Yeah. Don't I just go to Publix and get more? Yeah.
So like to truly understand how to properly take care of this earth, you need to understand everything that operates within it.
That's right. And also how huge an industry it is and how vital it is to Florida.
Yeah.
We're I think the number 3 or 4 cattle producing state in the United States.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And people think Florida like
second only to tourism.
Yeah. Second only to tourism, and agriculture is huge. People forget. I mean, when unfortunately I can't remember the pest or whatever, the fungus that killed off the citrus industry. The canker. That was it. When I was a kid coming here in the 70s and 80s, I mean, you go to Claremont, which is now all houses. That was the citrus capital.
Yeah,
that was half the fun. You come and go to the orange groves, fresh orange groves. I mean. Now it's sugar cane and all these other things. But Florida, I mean, you could take a look at the map at Florida at night, and it's like, wow, there's a lot of dark.
Yeah, right, yeah.
And it's not all Everglades.
Yeah, it's all out in the middle, right? Yeah. We talked a lot about it.
I was laughing really hard for a second there because I thought you were referring to tourists as cattle.
Well, you've waited in line.
Yeah.
You've waited in line at Disney.
Well, precisely.
Cattle shoot.
So the thing that if we could perfect getting cattle as tourists, then we would have like great.
Oh man, things would be flying.
But actually, that's a thing because the West and the East they trade cows. Yep. So you want to have a hay eating cow taste a certain way or oats eating cow taste a certain way, and there's actually a thing where you'll ship cows back and forth across the country so that they taste a certain way because they've eaten a certain percentage of stuff.
And what was really the crazy was I went to Hawaii, the Big Island, to find out that that's the number 1 cattle producing state.
Really?
The Big Island of Hawaii. It's insane.
No, it is not.
It is.
I don't.
Well, you can't lose them. They don't go far.
Well, first of all, the Big Island of Hawaii is bigger than you think. And because of the volcanic soil, that grass is like the best. They're like the most protein cow.
Really?
Anywhere. Yeah.
Do they taste like pineapple?
I was kind of thinking like a coconut thing. It's like, do you taste like a Mai Tai? How does this work?
Spam.
Yeah, spam. That's a real thing.
Yeah,
it's all spam.
Yeah.
All spam all the time.
Yeah,
aisles of spam.
Yeah, you go into that store, it's
any grocery store, a whole aisle of spam. Any flavor. It's crazy. White rice and Spam.
That's why we
that
don't.
a
That's
Hawaiian
why
thing?
we our reaction to not believing that Hawaii is the. But I guess if it's on the island, the big island,
I was like, wow. It's like, well,
there's no room for
It
anything.
just seems crazy that shipping costs alone
Yeah.
would make it.
I was asking that too. I'm learning all these great things, and they're like, well,
Did you learn this on TikTok?
No, I hang out with the livestock folks, right? And they're telling me, I'm like, teach me some stuff, and to learn about that, like Texas, California, Florida. I mean, those are the big ones here. You think like Oklahoma and places like that? Not really. I mean, there are more other agriculture and crops and stuff, but yeah, those are the big four. Or those are the big cattle producing states, and so. But think about this: all that great. They talk about Japanese, cobalt. A lot of them go to Japan.
So the salt cured beef, is that come by submarine?
I think so. They just drag it.
Yeah.
They
Trolling,
open the
trolling.
trolling.
Ship.
Yeah, they kind of get some tape. They got cattle prods, keep the sharks away.
Little cow wings on them
Exactly.
for floaties.
It's like a spinner on your throwing a lure.
Oh my!
So
Sharks love that.
So original Florida beef. So speaking of original Florida beef, we've got a segment here about original Florida music. Here.
Nice.
So
That's what we're all about.
that's
Good
right.
segue.
So yeah. So do you want to give a?
I'm sure Mikey would enjoy being considered original Florida beef. How do you like that one, Mikey?
So would you like to go ahead and plug our sponsor for this segment here?
Our sponsor for this segment is Reach Solar. Going ahead and optimizing solar for the homeowner, getting rid of all the reasons to say no to have solar on your house.
We live in Florida. There should be no reason to say no to solar.
A lot of people feel as though solar is not a good thing for them. And in some cases, that's true. But if you spend more than $200 a month on average, then you're losing money because solar's cheaper.
Yeah, we kind of have the sunshine.
Yeah, we kind of do.
So, Micah, what we're going to do is we're going to review a song here. And again, it's not about the quality of the recording of it or the video or anything of that nature. It's just solely what makes the song. Is it the riff or the rhythm that makes this song?
Well, I mean, if I can't critique, because if you listen to my bass playing, I'm not going to critique anybody. So
Well, you can opt out of the
I'm going to opt,
critiquing
but
if you'd like.
I can opt into riffs and rhythms.
But we do comment freely while the song is playing. So
Yeah, so it's like a Mr. Shine Studio 3000 version.
Oh, nice! I like it.
Yeah. So you know these guys a little bit more than I do. So we're going to be reviewing 21 to Burn.
Yes.
And the song is called Wait and See. So, and you, like I said, I'm
I
new
know the
to
singer
these
of
guys.
this band.
Yeah. Okay.
He's been around for a long time.
Okay.
And he's great.
Okay.
So these guys are the local band in the area that when they play, lots of people come.
Nice.
And you guys are going to find out why. Let's take a quick look at what is the name of the song that we're...
Wait and See. This came out, YouTube says it came out 2 months ago, I guess.
On your track.
No, I'm sorry. I've got the wrong track, don't I, Devin? I'm sorry. Here. Head Games, it came out 4 days ago.
Ooh,
Well, we're
so fairly recent. Here we go.
brand new, fresh out of the oven.
Head Games.
here we go.
You promised me that things had changed. You promised things won't be the same. I can't play this game again. I will not play this game again. My heart is in a vice again. Can't find the will to stand again. I don't have the tears to cry again. For you, I let you in. You push me out, and round we go again. These heavy hands, they reach for you. They just wanna feel again. Our broken hearts and misspent youth remind us of bitter ends. I cannot take all of these hands.
I'm waiting for it. It's coming, right?
Oh, it went down instead of going up. Cheeky.
It's late and I'm alone again.
I got all kinds of things to talk about. This is good stuff.
Wondering where the hell we went. Last night it all seemed fine again. Tonight you've lost your mind again. I'm wearing thin as another sleepless night sets in. I let you in, you push me out, and round we go again. This heavy hands they reach for you. They just wanna feel again. Our broken hearts and mismade you.
Oh boy.
Remind us of bitter ends. I cannot take all of these.
On location at the Bourgeois.
Oh, there we go.
JW on guitar.
He's got some good hands.
Oh, this is the one where they crashed the car.
I let you in, you push me out, and round we go again. These heavy hands they reach for you. They just wanna feel again. Our broken hearts and mismade you. Remind us of bitter ends. I cannot take all of these again. Let you in, you pushed me out.
Is that a little keys action going on there?
Let you in, you pushed me.
Damn, that was pretty deep.
I'll tell you what.
really-
So that's my professional world for 30 years to see that. And you'd look at the, of course, there's a little flip there because you think it was her overdose that was, and of course, she popped up, hitting her with the naloxone and the whole 9 yards. But yeah, I mean, that's a context for music now that Bad Company. Was a Shooting Star? What,
Shooting Star,
So,
Johnny.
a bottle of whiskey. Well, these kids, if you listen to rap, if you listen to those things now, they're talking oxys, they're talking benzos, they're talking, and this is a real thing. I mean, overdose and addiction, all that stuff. So watching that, it's like, oh, that's very. That's what they're writing songs about now. That's what, and this is so prevalent. We're losing so many young people like that. And, I like that little twist in the video. I don't like it. It's it's painful, but it's like, oh, okay. They brought her back. They saved her baby. The whole 9 yards. We lost him as in that part of their life. But we know that is a huge thing. It's probably another statistic they could put up there. How many kids are being raised by either a single parent or no parents or by grandparents, aunts, uncles, because they've lost parents to overdose. That's killer work.
Yeah.
So
That's a great video. Good job,
video.
Bill.
Yeah.
And the song. That's a good tune.
That's
These
a
guys
good
are good.
tune. I got to tell you, I was captivated by the video.
Right.
And halfway through the song, I'm like, wait a minute, I'm supposed to be checking
To the song,
if it's the riff or the rhythm. So then I'm like, it's the melody that sticks in my mind.
Yeah.
But I'm going to say rhythm. And the reason is because of the mix.
Yeah.
At least in these headphones, the drums were way up front. The guitars were behind the drums. And so for that reason, I'm going to go with rhythm.
I agree. I'm with that as well. I do like the solo thrown in there. Definitely. I don't know if you guys picked up on it, was definitely a panning aspect of that recording. Was I picked it up on the left or whatever side I'm on, but on the other side. So it was like a good stereo kind of panning in on there. So you're right. We've a lot of these are local Florida bands that we review on the shows.
Yeah.
Some
These
of
guys
some
are
of these
from this
some of
area
these
right here.
videos,
Same as the county.
some of these videos are just like the production is like you said,
are
like
good stuff.
we almost don't want to watch the video to really hone in on that stuff.
You
But
you write about your environment. I mean, we've been considered ground zero for that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
for all these years.
That's
I
fair.
grew up in
That's
St.
fair.
Lucie County. I can tell you
There
the
you
zero
go.
part of the ground zero.
That's right.
I was
And,
there.
so they're really, that's good stuff. The song I thought was great. He's got a great voice. I mean, got that big range. I will say the drummer, I mean, all the musicians are great, but drummer wins for Mullet of the Year. And great post-ironic mustache. I'm like, dude, that is a look.
There you go.
But no, great. I mean, they're all great players and great hands, and that's a powerful song.
all right.
I'm with you guys. That's definitely a rhythm.
Okay.
That's it wasn't a riffy song. Just,
Very, very.
It was all very cohesive thing.
Yeah.
The rhythm and the riff were kind of supporting each other, and I don't think one was better than the other, but I'm going with rhythm because of the mix.
Yeah, the way the mix, absolutely stands out. And I think that's kind of like that genre of music too. It really, it is in the front of the mix now. I also dug that keyboard piece, a little piano, little key,
Yeah.
Little keyboard stuff
little
at the
style
end.
in there. I like
Yeah.
that. So
That's pretty
well
good.
done, lads.
So, Devin, what are you calling it?
I agree.
All right, so
You're going rhythm, so
we're
it's
gonna
universally
No
rhythm.
notes.
sweep.
Rhythm.
Rhythm sweep. Okay.
All right.
I like it.
Swept Rhythm.
I like it.
Another band name, Swept
All
Rhythm.
right. So that is the Reach Solar song of the week.
Yep. So very cool.
Or we don't even do every week. The
yeah.
song of the every other week.
Yeah. on the B side of our guests.
Right. So what have we got going on? What's coming up? What do you got? What you were talking about
So-
some stuff down in down south with some sort of rum company.
Yeah. So here we are here. So this is beginning of February, and I just kind of did a little Miami Rum Congress here just the last weekend there. So this was a 3-day event.
How do you get elected to that Congress? That's all.
yeah, that's right. Well, hey,
It's good on both sides of the aisle.
some people are executive directors of the Martin County Fair, and some people are part of the Rum Congress.
There we go.
But yeah, now this is a one of the main big events in Miami. Part of the organizers are put on the same events in Chicago and London, and so there's a lot of these events around. A lot of people come in. Obviously, Florida, South Florida is one of the key areas most people think about, or Florida in general when it comes to rum, right? So there's a lot of companies. So these are one of the big companies that got a lot of the bigger names come out of the Caribbean. So it was a 3-day event. You've got, the typical first day, you've got a lot of the people speaking, guest speakers talking about,
Wait. People are speaking?
well, and drinking too. Educating. So
Were
yes.
they just sitting around talking about rum?
Rummicating, yes. So they are talking
ruminating
yes,
about rum.
Yes, they're talking about
They're ruminating.
They're talking about the distilling processes and history and things like that. And then the second day, you've got the grand tasting. So you got all these different rum companies, and you get to see who's actually overindulging, trying to taste everything in sight. And by the end of the
I
day,
think I've seen a video like that.
Yeah. I heard about that once.
yeah.
Yeah, that was a bestseller for years.
So it's a really cool event. I think a lot of I take out of this these events that I go to in the rum community. Obviously all the drums and rum stuff that I do is the community. Just seeing friends that show up. Right, it's a meeting of people that have similar enthusiasm or like-minded thing. And again, that's a great part of just seeing folks I haven't seen maybe since last year or whatnot. But the other one you actually were kind of alluding to, Kevin, is got invited to go down to Key West. So in March, we'll be going down there to tape some episodes with Papa's Pilar. So I think most people probably have heard of Papa's Pilar, right?
High-end drum.
Right, so they're at the distillery. Then there's 2 rum distilleries in Key West. Them and Key West First Legal Rum Company there. But Pops Pilar invited me down there. I talked to Sean from Pops Pilar when I was down there in August. So we still need to sit down and talk about our summer trip, our summer vacation. So the Key West Rum Festival is coming up in August. So I met Sean during that event, and he invited me down and said, "Hey, let's take an episode." And that's part of the other show that I talk about is like doing little travel and going meeting people, seeing their processes, and taking some video and drinking some rum. So that's coming up in March. So yeah,
Kind of like what we do here.
exactly.
Just we're not on tour.
But just not on tour.
Right.
Yeah.
I got it. The Treasure Coast Blues and Rum Festival.
We can.
Oh my!
We definitely could probably schedule that up there. And somebody actually, we could probably connect with Gracie.
We could.
Gracie down at their Muscle Distillery there, down in the the Muscle Vodka.
Oh, there. Well, we also
We need to
have
talk to her.
a rum manufacturer that's closely aligned with us.
Yes, you may know who that may
Yes,
be.
they've sponsored a stud.
Yes,
A stud bull.
that's right. So
Knocks,
turn the
knocks him
box
up and
and
done.
done.
yeah. So speaking of Knox and Dunn, you had
you
mentioned
go.
earlier, right, Mike? So it sounds like a band name.
Yes.
So let me go ahead and share. So Chris Hall, good friend of ours, again, big supporter of the podcast, good friend of ours, and so everything and so forth. Florida-based rum. Its name comes from the first governor of Florida, and something I can't never remember what it is, but because I drink too much rum. But Chris is a big music supporter, and one of the things he's always talked about was, and he just recently talked about was. He goes, how do I get some bands in different areas to basically pay a hired band, have them go under the name of Knox and Dunn, and they perform? I go, well, I said, I know how much bands get paid typically, and
It's a
again,
cheap date.
and I said, I need to talk to Kevin, because again, there's certain things that, because you do hire musicians when you go out of town, right?
Absolutely. Well, even when I'm in town.
Right. So you got some hired folks that come in. So I'm like, this could be a real thing in places.
Absolutely.
That you
Yeah, that's a
definitely-
great idea.
You could have a Knox and Dunn band in Miami, a Knox and Dunn band in Tampa, Knox and Dunn in Daytona, or whatever. So I think we need to kind of expand upon a little bit of that franchise to help him take his thoughts behind it. So we'll definitely got to talk a little bit more about that.
That's a great idea.
How to coordinate.
It could
How to
be
help
the,
coordinate.
Could be the TSO of the rum world.
Exactly. Right. For sure. So yeah.
That's a good.
So,
I think it's a great idea.
So he loves he goes, just change it because they got a drink called the Florida Mule. So he goes, that could be the name of the band, the Florida Mule, and sure,
But Knox and Dunn that works.
It's epic.
Oh yeah,
Just works.
yeah, for sure. So yeah, so great. So definitely check out Knox and Dunn. Again, good friends of ours here, Florida product. Made here in Florida, and again, support Florida. That's again goes back to what we've been talking about all night here, right?
And that's and you think about Florida fairs and festivals, and the different ones around the state. Look, you got all the state fairs, which I've had a chance to get around to a lot more of them this year, and looking forward to getting around to more. Everyone has a unique flavor to them. You meet the people that run them, and you meet the boards and the volunteers, and they're really, they're so proud of their community, and that's just what's really awesome about it. And then you have the big festivals. Like the Strawberry Festival, which is a monster over on the West Coast, and they bring huge acts. They got a 6,000 seat stadium over there for this thing. The Garlic Festival down in Delray. I saw Buddy Guy play there about 10 years ago. Things like that. We have stuff everywhere all the time, and it just. Florida, and one of the things I enjoy, and again, being a tourist in Florida as a kid and then living here the last 15 years, and I've literally been to every corner of this state now with all the work I've done. There is so much diversity in Florida, just different areas, and literally you think Florida's all one thing. Man, go to Tallahassee. That's a different universe.
Yeah,
go to
It's an
Pensacola.
entirely different country.
Different city, and then West Coast of Florida versus East Coast of Florida. It's just like
very
East Coast,
different.
West Coast across the country,
Yeah.
And so, I encourage people, get out to your fairs, get out, try a staycation sometime. I don't mean stay in this studio and enjoy some beverages. I mean, like, jump in a car, 3 hours, you can go on an adventure, place probably never been before. And go to a festival, grab a fair, go to local restaurants, go to meet the people, and it's a great thing. So I've really taking this job and the work I've done in the past. It's like I'm out there with people all the time. It's like Florida just offers something that people I don't think get sometimes. They want it to be something that it's from where they were versus what it is.
No, you can't. Don't New York up our Florida. Don't Ohio up our Florida.
Right.
Don't California our Florida. Florida is
It's
Florida.
Florida.
Yeah.
Trust me, I'm from Maine. That's a unique joint.
I think it's stuff though, right? So once you live here, you're not, because now you're in your regular daily routine. You don't get a
live
chance
Florida.
to do those things, right? You're living in Florida, but it's like my dad when we moved to Florida in the early 90s. He goes, I don't need to take vacations anymore. I live in Florida now. We used to do the same thing.
Yep.
Come down to Florida, go vacation, and now he lives here. He doesn't need to go do those things. But I remember there was a very similar trip that we took quite a few years ago. Was our four family, the boys took them in the same week. We went everywhere from West Palm down to Monkey Jungle,
Yeah.
right down in my area.
Yeah.
Then earlier in the week, we were up in Itchitucknee and the springs up
go to
there,
Manatee
tubing
Town, yeah.
and all. I mean, just traveling around, hitting the staycation kind of places. And now my boys are older. It's like we get some memories that they remember these kinds of things. So it's kind of a cool thing. There's so much to do in Florida.
Plus,
So much.
if you
to do.
do want to go somewhere, it's easy to get anywhere from Florida because everybody wants to come here.
That's right. Yeah.
So,
Which, if you're not from here, don't come here.
Yeah.
we used to say,
This is only good if you already live here. If you don't live here, it's terrible. You don't want to come.
Do not come.
Thank you. Thanks, Kamala.
Jump on the Bright Line, hit a few people along the way, and
Absolutely.
have you guys ridden the Bright Line?
I've not.
Yes.
It's fantastic.
Yes.
it really?
It's awesome.
It's fantastic.
I'd noticed they don't have a cow catcher, so it must be a bumpy ride.
Yeah, just a little bit,
Okay.
But it goes fast enough that it's really quick.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, they do it really, really well. The stations are nice. You get on the train, and food's great, service is great. And,
Grocery carts flying left and right.
left and right. See if you can pick something up on the way back.
upgrade your ticket to the VI, the pro
yeah,
or pro
the
VIP.
You get to
Then you
see
can
all
drink.
the bums screaming and running away.
No, you get free booze. I think they still do
do
that.
they have
Yeah.
a free
Yeah.
booze upgrade?
Oh, yeah. And by the
True.
way, it's coming and going. So you can at the station. They have their own it's like a bar, like an auto bar. So they make mixed cocktails and I'm not a drinker anymore, but I can appreciate it what I see, and so it's like that's cool. And then the great spread, like all kinds of like real good food.
Yeah.
Like you eat like a champ. Then they feed you on the train, and then you can hit them one at the other end in Orlando.
Yeah.
Nice.
So it's
So
it's
where
a
is
good
the
vibe.
ultimate end of the Bright Line? Is it Orlando?
Orlando? Right now it's
Orlando's-
Orlando to Miami.
Where in Orlando?
The airport.
By the airport, yeah.
Oh, Orlando
Right
Airport.
into
Yeah.
the airport.
Inside
Yeah.
the airport.
They
Okay.
talked about going all the way out to Disney, but I think it's just a challenge.
It's
right?
going to be.
Yeah,
They
it's
just they're
eventually-
fighting over where to put the station.
Yeah, that's probably it.
So because
of
you have
course.
Universal and
just
Disney.
just like where they're going to put the station here, right in Martin or St.
It's
Lucie.
gonna be
right?
in Stewart.
I have my ideas.
Yeah, I wonder why they're moving the fair.
I have my ideas.
Certainly couldn't be a connection with that.
Oh, haha.
Makes the most sense.
Hello.
But no, they're at
It's not like it's next to a rail line or anything.
not runs right through every day. But no, it's a lot of fun, and as people are taking it now, they're building literally like in West Palm. You get on there, people move right to the Bright Line station. They built a whole transit village.
Yeah.
because they're working out of Miami.
Yeah.
and taking the train. It's like
That whole-
it's like being in New York or any place like that. If you can make it work as a commuting thing, it works.
That whole area is boomed up,
Boomed, it's
right?
crazy.
Everything that used to be probably not the best areas in West Palm is Tamarind and that other area. It's
all been
it's changed a
taken
lot.
over.
So, do you got another MVP of the week here? House of Wine, Beard, Spirits. Somebody again you want to recognize?
So many. What we want to go music still? We can do music.
Yeah, whoever. you
Anyone
wanna-
who has been a positive influence
Yeah.
in your life that you'd like to thank.
Oh wow! Well, I mean, and I'll say this because you get that question all the time, and you guys will understand this with kids. You used to get that question: is it like if you could meet or spend any time with someone, anyone in the world, who would you want to spend? When you're a kid, you're like, I don't know, like John Lennon, Robert Plant, something like that. But now it's like, if I any nanosecond I get to hang out with my kids, I'd take that over
Okay.
anybody.
That's
Anybody.
great.
I work a lot. I'm on the road. Any time with my kids takes over. Even if Freddie Mercury could come back and I can hang out with him, it's like, no, sorry, Freddie, you're amazing, but I got to hang out with my kids. So that I'll give a shout out to Lila, Sophia, and River, my two little guys. They're my all stars all the time.
All right, nice.
Awesome.
Yeah,
That's right.
biggest influence on me now.
Yeah, because you don't get those. You don't get it back.
You don't get it back. It
No.
goes way too. And I'm old, so it goes fast anyways.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
Every year is shorter than the one before.
That's right, as they say, more in the rear view than in the windshield. So, yeah. But so that's my shout out this week. Biggest
Nice.
influence on me right now.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well said.
Like, very good. So, you have another Tales from the Road? You want to give a shout out there, or I mean, not shout out, but
I think last
recollection?
time I talked about the 7-hour frat
That's
house
right,
gig
yeah.
and fingers bleeding. That was good. Funny road story going to up to Pittsburgh to play a show. We were in West Virginia. It's late at night. And that was actually a van gig. We drove all through the night switching. And I was like, and this is the funny thing, we think that's a band story when you're like 22. We're like 43.
Oh, wow.
It's like, oh, this is rough. And
What were we thinking?
but we stopped at, where were we? I don't know, maybe some stop anyways, and our guitarist and lead singer he used to take like sleeping medication, which is fine. Most people do as you get to a certain age and this and that. So he just couldn't function. And I just remember, we weren't even gigging yet, but I just remember if you get somebody out of that space, they're a disaster. And we're in there, it's like, he's got to eat food. So he's like kind of like a zombie, and he's just like talking, he's like, really, it's like, it's so, and we found like Egg McMuffins at like 3 a.m. and he's just standing there and he's so happy that he just found food, literally tears of joy, grinning and people are walking by thinking he's special. This is,
Well, he is a lead singer.
You're taking care of your special friend. And he's just teared up, grin on his face, just trying to get through. And it was just the best. I mean, it's like,
Oh, that's so
that's
cute.
like grown up road story. It's like, no, they weren't whacked out on booze or drugs. No, these were prescription drugs, and this is what happens when it's late at night and you got to have food. You just look like a big weeping baby. I thought that was great, but we had a fun time in Pittsburgh. But it was in West Virginia too, which is good. So they probably just thought it was Cousin Earl. Yeah, you got him out from under the sink. That's fantastic. Get him out for some air. That's
I
nice.
was so looking forward to an Egg McMuffin.
It's just like drools crying. It's like,
Eat another Egg McMuffin, Grandpa. Eat another Egg McMuffin.
I love Egg McMuffins.
It is actually, eating food at the right time can be very much an experience, with that right there.
Yeah,
for
road,
sure.
you've all
road
done
food
those.
is special.
The road food is special, especially if you find those late night. But this wasn't some random, but it was just the look on his face and just knowing the state he was in. It was just like, get him back in the van and put him back to sleep. You're not driving.
Well,
anytime soon.
you guys, what we talked in the last episode was about Buc-ee's, right? We didn't
Buc-ee's.
talk about how, that's,
Buc-ee's is a phenomenon.
What a thing! And they're building the biggest one outside of Ocala. I think it's going to be the
geez.
biggest Buc-ee's.
Really?
You think the Texas-sized Buc-ee's are the big ones? Apparently, they're like every time they build one, it's like
Is
this
that like
one's gonna be bigger.
75 and 40 probably?
Yeah, right up there, right up.
Okay.
Yeah, Gainesville, Ocala
Yeah,
area.
yeah.
That's going to be a monster. And the rumors are bringing one to Fort Pierce.
Oh, well, okay.
Compete against the
No
J,
doubt
the J and
it'll
the
be
pilot.
right in-
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, it'll crush the J.
Right, yeah.
You know what the funny thing is? All those things they all feed off each other.
Yeah.
They're all different things.
Well, the one thing that I noticed, in Fort Pierce is a transportation hub.
Yes, it.
And I've come from the days when there was no. I grew up in Fort Pierce, Florida.
Yep.
And there was no truck stop. And then, like, they were talking about building a truck stop. And they built one like way back, like not frontage, but like behind two hotels way
Right.
back there. And it was like had eight gas pumps, and you go in there because people talk, oh, the truckers are hanging out. So you see, like, all of a sudden you never saw a truck before in your whole life. And every pump all day, all night's got a truck fueling. And then they build another one like 10 times the size, and you're like, oh, they'll never. And then the day it's done, every truck on every pump. And then they build another one that's 3 times the size, all within like a stone's throw.
right.
And then that one's filled up. And now they've got the next exit up, they've got 2 of them that are triple the size of the original 4. And they're all full.
Look
And
at
now they're going
Buc-ee's.
to put a Buc-ee's.
Then that's the thing. The zillion pumps or whatever it is, and but I always think of us too. Like again, growing up in Maine and coming to Florida. When I first came to Florida, it was like 1977, and Maine had a population just over 1 million people. Florida had a population of about 6 million. Fast forward 50 years, Maine has a population just over 1 million people. Florida has a population of 24 million.
Yeah.
I know why Maine still has the same population. Because every time a child is born, a man leaves town.
That's true. Yes. Where the men are men and the moose are nervous.
There you go.
But but speaking of that, but Buc-ee's but Fort Pierce is the shining gem waiting to just come on out. That's got everything going for
it
it.
became a transportation interchange hub because from between Fort Pierce and Jupiter, that was the last leg of 95.
That was it. 95
to
wasn't
get.
done yet.
There was no 95 between
That's
there
right.
and then. And so you had to get off and get on the turnpike,
That's
and
right.
it became a way stop since the beginning.
Yep. And but now with the downtown coming back, great stuff, great architecture, good restaurants, great deep water frontage. I mean, there's pictures I'll take there, and she's like, "Oh, you're like in the Bahamas?" I'm like, "Dude, I'm in Fort Pierce." turquoise water, beautiful. I mean, it's a really cool
Fort
town.
Pierce is way
I,
cool.
I dig it. I dig it.
I didn't. They were just something on we saw locally on WPTV, and they were talking. My wife says, "Hey, did you know Fort Pierce has the Navy SEAL Museum?" I go, "Yeah, we tried going there one time," and I go, "But I didn't." They had a feature on it, and I said, "Okay, I didn't know there was all of that they have there."
Yeah, so the Navy SEAls were born in Fort Pierce.
right, yeah,
And the South Causeway Island was a naval base. And like everything you think about South Beach was a naval base. Like from this side of the causeway all the way out to where Archie's is, that was all naval base. And they got the great idea, like, we're going to do an underwater swimming, demolition team. And the commander of the base was like, not here. Like, you can do it, but you're going to do it on the other side of that jetty about 10 miles that way, because I'm not letting y'all blow me up. You're going to take a bunch of privates and give them, ordinances and let them swim? Like, no, that's ridiculous. So they ended up doing it on North Beach, Pepper Park. That was where they trained the frogmen, they were called originally.
That's right, frogmen.
And then the frogmen turned into the Navy SEALs. And even recently, there are events on the North Beach where unexploded ordnances will just wash up.
Sure.
Like catastrophic explosions potential.
Wow.
There was a lot of military action down here back in the day.
Yeah. One of my favorite World War II stories is a Fort Pierce story, where off of the coast of Florida, a German U-boat was captured, and inside that German U-boat were tickets to the Sunrise Theater and Dandy bread wrappers.
Wow.
And back in the day, what is now Natalie's Orchid Island Juice Factory, that was a Dandy bread factory. And so these German soldiers had, rowed up on shore, went to the movies, bought some bread, and went back to the U-boat.
Enjoyed Florida.
Yeah, right.
Tourists. They're the first German tourists.
That's right.
That's how that started.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm proud to say my uncle, God bless his rest his soul, he was a little short Frenchman, and Mainer, so Quebecois, but he was a tail gunner in World War II, at the end of World War II. And proud to say that the coast of Florida and the Great Plains of Oklahoma, not a single German got through. He did a fantastic job. Never deployed overseas, but they ran patrol up and down. And all those guys were trying to be sold beachfront in Miami, South Beach. And they're like, why would we buy this crap?
Oh my God,
This is junk.
Oops. Yeah, it was all swampland back then.
yeah.
Another one of my favorite war stories is a Confederate war story where I was in Catalina. You heard the story when Bill was there. We went to
I thought you were going to say, Kevin, well, when I was serving the Confederate Army,
Yes,
Well, look at him.
I have lived forever. And let me tell you what, the food was terrible.
food was terrible.
But we were on Catalina Island, which is off of Long Beach.
Yes, oh yeah.
And we learned that there was a volunteer force from the Union that came to defend Catalina Island.
Best gig in the world.
And I'm thinking, yeah, like 4,500 miles from the closest battle that ever got fought.
Oh, we're going to hang out in the Mediterranean
what a-
subtropical
yeah.
climate of Catalina Island.
What
Here's
a
my
sacrifice.
My
they did.
participation trophy.
It's my participation trophy.
But it turns out that their superior officer was like, oh, yeah, no, we can't lose Catalina. Go ahead. And so this
Not even a way for a
this
Confederate ship to get there.
ragtag band of heroes, young heroes, transported themselves 4,500 miles away from the front so they could protect
Catalina Island. Yeah.
And they were valuable to the war
Sounds like a
effort.
great movie to be
Right?
made about it, right? Yeah, how so
It's a 15-minute short. It's like,
yeah.
they
Yeah.
sail out and then they just party on the beach.
Yeah.
By the time they got there, the war was over.
At the wine mixer.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, there you go.
So, all right. So, Micah, we definitely could talk more, longer, and so
Anytime.
forth. Yeah. So this has been great stuff. So definitely, this is a great guest.
I told you it was cool.
Yeah, for sure.
This is great. Great podcast. You
yeah.
got this is great setup.
Yeah,
Anytime.
Thank you.
Anytime.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
So we're close by. Anytime you want to pop in on a night that we tape and
Sure.
just come here and hang out and That's what we're,
hang out with the
wanna
gang.
make-
Add some color commentary.
So what
Yeah,
you want
for
to do
sure.
is you want to come out on February 20th
February
to see both
20th.
of our bands perform at Big Fest
Big Fest.
at the Martin County Fair.
Get
you
that
can
name in your head. Big
you can
Fest
get
is
into
gonna be
Big Fest.
Big Fest.
Yeah, you can get into Big Fest for free. It's included in
It's
your
included
admission
in your admission. So
to the Martin County Fair.
County Fair.
$10 bucks.
$10.
Yes, and if you could, if
Can't
you
go to
could-
a movie for $10.
No.
Yep, and if you could withstand the beer, donut, fried Pepsi gauntlet and survive all the way to this main stage, then you get in for free.
So maybe we should take Devin and put him on the diet Dr. Pepper Twinkie butter challenge.
You should go, Devin. I think you
that's a
should do the
great
tour, and you could. This would be a great podcast, and because
No, you know who we need to have do that? Is Willie Suarez.
Oh boy.
Willie Suarez was the bass player when we went to Memphis for the International Blues Challenge. And in the same sentence, he's like, "Oh, I forgot my insulin. Where's the donuts?" And we were gone for a week.
That guy had the munchies.
I was like, "Are you sure?" We need to give him the fried butter challenge.
I think, he can win a T-shirt, and maybe we'll keep him alive somehow.
And by the way, Willie, we love you. You're awesome.
And you're a bass player, so you're a brother.
And he's a bass
Yeah.
player.
Oh, there
and
you go.
actually, Willie returned again this year to perform again
Nice.
at the International Blues Challenge.
He must be amazing.
And Willie
The
is,
shoes.
Willie White Shoe Suarez is a phenomenon among phenomenons.
Yeah. Local
That's
guy.
Nice. And I'd like to meet him. And speaking of, I love meeting great bass players because I always learn, and that's why you get around musicians. You hang out. It doesn't matter where you're at. You're going to learn something new, and everybody's a little bit different.
Yeah.
Sometimes he'll be at the open mic or the open jams you guys do. Yeah.
And
yeah.
Willie's strategy is to leave your insulin at home for a week-long trip and seek out every candy store available.
He lives dangerous.
Right?
really-
I'm not exaggerating.
I'll tell you what. There's living on the edge. That's legitimately living on the edge.
Yes. Oh yeah.
Oh,
yes,
yeah.
for sure.
Forget anything mechanized.
No.
That's living on the edge.
Yeah. So all right. So thanks for coming on the podcast there. So
Love it. Hey,
Yep.
February coming right up in a short amount of time, February 14th through the 22nd. Martin County Fairgrounds, Dixie Highway, Stewart. Come on out, see all the shows, the food, the cool stuff. Bring your family, have a good old time.
Excellent. All right. So again, yeah, this is a great chat. Again, every guest is awesome. We have.
Yes.
Yeah. So don't forget to go ahead. If you like this podcast, go and check out the like button, subscribe, and then also if you're listening on this is on the B3 Podcast Network as well too. Check out the other shows we have: Jams and Cocktails, Drums and Rums. Go ahead and hit the follow, leave us a rating. Do all that cool stuff on the B3 Podcast Network. And then also don't forget to check out Ghost on the Aux here with our main man behind the scenes, Devin. He's holding it down. Yeah, so he runs.
While we're talking about that,
Yep.
go ahead and comment on the videos. Let us know if there's something you haven't seen you'd like to see.
Tell us if we suck or we're good or
Something
anything.
that you saw that you never want to see again.
That's right. So, got any suggestions? Yeah, hit us up, man. So, I think in the audio podcast description there, I think there's a link that you can actually drop us some communication. Yeah,
we
just
have
hit
a
us up. Yeah,
website. You
yeah.
can go to our website.
Let us
and
hear.
everything.
Let us hear from you. Yeah, let us know
Yeah,
that.
we want to know you're out there.
Yeah. So hello. So all right. So let's wrap this up here. Check out Kevin's shows coming up there. Follow on the KMB dot.
KevinMcLaughlinBand.com. Good luck spelling that. Or you could just get on social media and type in hashtag Kevin M.
Yep. Go ahead and become one of his favorite people on Facebook. What do you call those people?
Oh, you know what you can do is worldwide. You can see
Worldwide.
every single Kevin McLaughlin Band show as they happen, live streamed on Facebook. If you subscribe, and it is an exorbitant 99 cents a month.
Oh my God.
All that music for 99 cents a month.
That's right.
That's right. You see Kevin behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah, warts and all, unedited.
Yep. Shower cam included.
Jamming. But where can you find that kind of entertainment for
No,
99
I know.
cents a month?
Nowhere.
Right. Well,
Nowhere.
You can come see him at the Martin County Fair.
February
In
20th,
person.
Thursday.
That costs more than 99 cents.
It's
I
cost
guarantee.
more 99 cents.
I'm gonna come.
Okay. All right. The POTUS will be there.
That's right.
He'll be there rocking out with his McLaughlin out. All right. So, yeah, let's wrap up this show here. So, All right,
I'm going to make a t-shirt. Rock out with your McLaughlin out.
Those are a big seller. You know, make McLaughlin safe again. Make McLaughlin's great again.
Oh my God,
Oh,
that'd be
there
funny.
you go.
All this different merchandising idea. So, anyway, so
The Gulf of McLaughlin is what we're going to call it from now on.
that'd be great. Just make up random stuff.
You weren't
That's a
supposed
good-
to do that.
Yeah, that's right.
We're going to rename Greenland as McLaughlin Land
McLaughlin.
because it was the Vikings and the Irishmen who found
That's
it in the
right.
first place before Columbus ever thought about going anywhere.
That's right.
They really got lost. That was a party. They made it all the way down south.
Yeah.
Rock on.
Nothing wrong with going down south.
Oh, jeez.
All right. Anyway,
We can
so
do
let's
this
wrap
thing.
up this podcast with that being said. Oh, hold on.
My clip is empty. Give me a second here to reload.
All right, I'll go ahead and I'll throw some old Knocks and Done in
Knocks
there as
and
well.
Done.
Yeah, it's a Knocks and Done
Coming
there.
to a stage near you.
That's right. So, all right, cheers, everybody. Thanks for tuning into this podcast here. See you next week.